downtown development? What kinds of businesses would be most beneficial? And then the last one, what can the government do? So, those are questions.
We ask them to all identify themselves just so everybody knows.
Sure.
And Bertram, the architect.
Joseph Silva, local development. David Hall, Holly Ridley.
Roy Stein, Berkeley Restaurant.
Tony Rizzo, Junior Rizzo Collins.
And Mark Olson, for president.
Okay, good. Strengths. What do you see as the strengths of downtown?
There's a strong nighttime residential use of population that lives downtown.
Okay.
I would say the public perception that downtown is still the center campus can be exposed.
Diversity of businesses, of people, of all the, right?
And the fact that the streetscape, the lighting, the landscape, and the elevation part, I mean, it's
So when you say the look, the look.
They have a big potential downtown to overlook for a bunch of years. Activity on the east side and on the west side are reported downtown.
There's some things that when we look at a project, Metro North, these potential strength, they stop right in the city. You can bring to the strength.
Awesome.
Just to tie in with the transportation, we've got 7 and 6 at Crossroads. State Highway, intersection 53 and 7, and they all come through downtown. So it helps with governmental financing for the streetscapes that we just talked about. That happen. So we're able to leverage state and federal dollars because of the
Chief, can I also introduce Attorney Lavi Rivera, who just came in, so he's on your grouping there as well.
Okay, good. All right, the impediments to development.
This is specific to downtown, not global.
Don't try to beat us up.
Whatever,
Okay.
whatever gets in the
Qualified
way.
in the,
Whatever gets in the way.
the credit market is an overarching impediment right now.
Credit for end users.
Everywhere throughout it, and just the whole system.
Just to follow up with Dan, I mean, we've always been relatively had the ability to get financing pre-development, post-development because we've got a strong market. There's just a sense of uncertainty, I think, globally, and then you obviously bring it back to Connecticut, you bring it back to Fairfield County, you bring it back to northern Fairfield County. There's a sense of cautiousness on both the developers as well as the financiers on all that. So it's an impediment to anything that we need to go forward with to see what the market's going to do. So market demands are part of the obvious challenge to say, what are we going to build to what are we going to have users? And I'm not sure how we can get through that except for wait.
Okay. Anything besides model?
Yeah, I mean, the day laborers out on Kennedy Park do not help. So the day laborer contingent at the whole point is not a endearing first feeling as you come to the city center from the north.
Okay, and of course the image.
It's also at the transportation, it's at the hard pulse point, as well as the bus depot, regional bus depot that comes from Hartford and points from New York and south. They're right there at Joe's Tenants on Elm Street. Our residents and other population are sitting, looking out and seeing a perception of the congregation of day laborers. It's not good for the city, so
Okay, so it's still,
it's all the day laborers.
Sorry.
okay.
The time period, the project completed, started completion, I think that, we don't have much in town, but I make that in reference to the state routes, that they've done a tremendous better development, which I think directly affects them.
Okay, so I'll just put approvals, state,
I don't
local.
we don't say a specific town, it's a global.
Right.
And town rules are not, but now we're finding state rules.
Yeah.
I see that there's a lack of identity or a lack of focus in their development, meaning a lot of downtowns have something to go to that you enjoy. It's a place, coffee shop, but something that brings people downtown, makes them identify with downtown, someplace that they like to go.
Destination.
Destination point, yeah, not necessarily maybe, there's talking about theater and so forth, but making it some identifiable location. People want to come down for this reason, then they start coming for that reason, then other people start to come, and it starts to expand, and it starts to grow, put it out there.
Which ties into really the whole perception of downtown. Somehow we gotta figure out a way to change that perception of the downtown area, because people don't want to go down this thing. And to what you're saying, there's no real draw to go down there. I know people in town who are taking the train right out of Danbury to South Norwalk and enjoying the downtown area of South Norwalk, but they're leaving Danbury to go do, which makes no sense, other than maybe the perception is it's not what they're going to offer downtown. Somehow ties into development, they're going to develop what we believe, which are going to go for all.
Anything else?
Some of the feeder streets into downtown need to be improved. As much as Main Street has a great visual impact, you have basically 4 feeders that come into downtown as well as ancillary streets, and they need to have the same visual perception as Main Street.
Okay, now we get to the positive end. What are the opportunities that you see that could be exploited? Anything jump out at you?
Potential for new housing.
I'm going to put this right out there. We're talking about this later. I think that we come here and talk about ideas on the Renaissance Task Force and dollars for the city center of art, Andrea, and a lot of good things happen when you take some initiative. So I think the opportunity is if we have good people here who are invested in the downtown, that we actually take this opportunity and actually do something constructive. Just actually do something. And what I mean by do something is bringing, identifying some businesses. I'm going to start with the coffee shop again. Start with a coffee shop, create some sort of program, this group or another committee, meaning like an incubator group program, where the city of Danbury will sponsor all the stakeholders downtown, the people, myself and other business people, it's a bank, it's a landlord who will reduce rent. Law firm will help a small business, and actually say we're going to bring in some businesses downtown. Start with one project, open it up to the community, and say we're looking for a business plan, and one person's going to be selected to come downtown and start bringing in some business downtown. If that takes off, then we identify another thing, whether it's retail or shopping or help with a restaurant. But something where we're in this economy where everyone can help bring in and attract. So that's my concept. I've thrown this out to some other people, and I was told, actually by now State Senator Mike McLaughlin, that Danbury, when I was throwing this out to him a couple weeks ago, he said that we actually did this for the Commerce Park. That Danbury was basically, that's what they considered an incubator program, where they wanted to attract business to Danbury. And some of you may know that more than I do. But Danbury actually did it, and we started attracting business here in Danbury in that fashion. I don't know why we can't do it. I don't know if other downtowns have done it, but I don't know why we can't just say, let's just do it. Because every single person I talk to who works, and I work on Main Street, businesses, we have 45 employees, and there's about 100 plus people in our building. There's no place to go get a cup of coffee, you know? And if they start walking the streets, walking around, then you can add another place, a shop or something. So I think it would be great if not only we sit here and talk about it, but actually come out with, let's form a committee and let's get something done.
There's a lot of infrastructure in place for development, i.e. your sewer, water, services, roads, parking, that would decrease some cost on development in certain sectors. Upper level spaces are available at more affordable rates than a commercial building that is not outside of the district.
There's a lake into the west town that can be developed. All my comments off the team, I'm sure, but we're working on it.
Well, it's an important theme. I mean, there's 6,000 students within Westcon, so we're very fortunate to have Westcon
Well,
downtown.
3,000 live there and constantly say there's nothing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Except for the wrong things.
Well, we don't want them doing what we did.
Just the wrong thing to do is there's nothing else for them to do. What
There's no coffee shop.
what do they do?
There's nobody playing jazz on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday. The only day they have a bar.
The opportunities are public open spaces, the green that's available as a venue.
Obviously, you got the rink and the theater. Even the rink can be used to draw any type of smaller concert venue or something in the downtown area to make people who want to go down there to go out to dinner to go see some type of show. There's still got to be a reason for them to go there, right?
We have committees that are already, like City Center Danbury, right, that it's already formed. You could use that to a greater degree. Probably that, maybe use that as a committee that we're talking about to launch, right?
Anything else that jumps out at you?
The tax incentives that the city has offered for certain uses and tax deferral, I guess. There's a historical tax deferral, which is on the books, and there's the housing, office.
The kind of development has a tax There's a tax incentive for any development.
Yeah. And Naugatuck Valley Community College should be part of that opportunity to explore because they're expanding their presence in the community with their administrative offices and classroom and the articulation agreement that they now have with Westcott. So from the high school to either right to college or right to Naugatuck into the university system is worth advocating.
Okay.
Along the lines of the infrastructure that's in place, the city has tools at their disposal to prioritize the downtown in terms of, again, I'll give something specific to where we are. Along Crosby Street, the city put in a few years ago, put in a water main. And it was, the road was all kind of ripped out. But I'll tell you this, not one guy in this front row, if they had put that water main in, would have been allowed to leave the road looking the way it looked when it was all patched back together, which has now been several years later. And so there's some ways of targeting some of that infrastructure work, both in terms of stuff that's in place, but the maintenance of it, prioritizing it. There's a lamp that we did within the last couple of years, corner of Crosby and Maple, gets run down and doesn't get replaced. And it should be replaced and like that. I mean, that's the kind of thing, the polishing of the fruit, if you will, is so important. And we prime the pump with new development, but the maintenance of it, if we pass the baton, that's something that can help. Because we all have to do this together. I mean, there's no two ways about it. It will never happen with any one party.
Okay. Any other opportunities? Valerie? All right, let's go on to specific businesses, and we do have a coffee shop up there
I
already.
think somebody mentioned that.
I think somewhere along the line. What other specific businesses, if you had to say, okay, if we could put 10 different businesses in, what would be the 10 that you'd love to see in there that could do what you're all saying, get people to come, and there's another one, another one.
Art gallery.
Art gallery.
Food.
Food?
Yeah.
Any particular type?
Well, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, really. I mean, you've got some breakfast shops, but if you have there's one good deli on North Main it attracts a lot of people. So your luncheon type delis, there's still a few others, but I think we can expand that. It's, Bill Clubhouse Deli, but now it's E&B Deli in North Main.
Okay, some more lunch places.
So a couple of pages back, we were talking about the dilapidated destination.
Right.
So you need, whether it's a theater, live theater, or music, or, we're talking about a big business, not a small business, but something that's going to draw people downtown on a regular basis. And then there's all the food in the restaurants will feed on that.
Are there enough restaurants?
No, I was going to say,
Good restaurants.
I think expanding off of David's thought there of the cultural piece, we saw with the film festival that, people from Sherman commented publicly that this is the type of venue that we have to travel to New York or to California for, the Screenwriters Guild and that kind of thing. If we were able to spur more of those types of opportunities, we're bringing more people in from our region. And we know that the Danbury region metropolitan base has, hundreds of thousands to draw from. So what it demonstrated to me was that there was a lot of diversity with the film festival that attracted people to come here. And again, getting back to exploiting what we have the theater as an opportunity, almost 2,000 seats. Yes, it needs to be renovated, but it's a combined attraction. It could be a private public sector component to the region.
I think there's a perception that it's hard to get downtown. If you call up, because we've done an exercise, right, when we we start calling Panera Bread, and we call some of these other coffee shop type of places, and they say, oh, no, we don't want to go downtown, we're looking for a site over on the west side, right? And they're thinking they can get right off the exit and draw from New York. And so picking away at this perception, it's hard to get downtown, at least for the north side, it's really not bad. That's one of the things that we like about the north side, is that you can balance the 84 corridor, maybe get to your home, but then once you're there, then you have a very walkable environment. And the same thing to the Metro, walk to the Metro North. I mean, you have kind of the best of both worlds. There's a real opportunity in the downtown along those lines, but there's a perception maybe among some of these franchises or some of these other businesses that it takes a little long to get off of this main 84 corridor and into the downtown. And maybe picking away at that could be helpful in that perception.
They also don't feel like there's enough traffic flow from what?
Well, I've looked into some of those franchises to a pretty good extent. And a lot of the demographics that we have in downtown just don't set up for this. Like probably Starbucks, we go after Panera, we look at, another handful of them. And just the demographics we have in that, 1 or 2 mile radius that they want to pull the numbers from don't exist for them. It doesn't fit into their model. They have a certain model of traffic and dispensable cash and all those. It doesn't fit into it.
We try to dangle a normalization on Kennedy Place
I give
to get the conversation started. You know what I mean? No, but you're right to that point. And there's no question it's an obstacle.
It's a challenge to get that McDonald's Burger King type thing going. Not that we need that downtown, but a banana and some polo or some clothing stores. We're not fitting into those demographics. We're not fitting into their model. That's I've fought for years. Not been successful.
But I don't think we can do anything about fighting the mall for retail sales or any of the other food centers, Federal Road or Newtown Road. If you try to go up against that, we fail because they got you. They're right up the gate, they're huge, they have everything. Downtown's got to be something different. It's got to evolve its own niche.
I agree, absolutely agree. But if we were able to land a nationally recognized franchise, just one would be great. If we could continue there, we start to attract that different client, the different income base that we're not attracting to downtown. The impression of downtown that it's wanted us for years. It wants us to have day laborers, old buildings, safety. All of our task force issues that we've talked about are, I think, is a big problem. Big problem. The impression of coming downtown is not appetizing.
Let me ask a question. I know you've got a parking garage, but other than that, do you find a perception that if you go downtown, it's hard to park?
I personally don't. I spend a lot of time downtown. And we have 2 great parking garages. There's plenty of parking on the street. If it's occupied, there's side streets. The parking garages themselves are changing the older Danbury perception of going and parking in a parking lot. I get clients that come into my office of all walks of life. Some people want to live on Main Street in downtown, want to live at a train station in a parking garage there. And other people will make the comment, I want nothing to do with a parking garage, I don't want to live in it. So that mix of, that variety of people, somebody needs to attend to those folks. Parking garages, I think they're great. Others don't.
Has this task force done any work? I mean, we're talking about point A and point B, but has the task force spent any time talking about point A, which is where we're at this point in time? Has the task force been downtown, walking the streets? Have they been downtown late on the weekends, physically seeing what's going on, what's going on?
Let me ask Wayne that question.
I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of dealing,
Well, just has the task force really done anything as to where you are right now, walking the streets of Danbury, going down there at night?
I don't think we've done that. We just surveyed the property owners recently to find out what their perceptions are, very much like what we're doing with this group. So that this was the next step into what we are doing. But in terms of actually walking, no, I can't say we've done that. Dennis?
Most of the members of the task force work downtown. Joe's a member, Andrea, and
David.
Augie is, I'm sorry?
David Melton.
Yeah,
David
we
Melton.
spent some time down there, but I think we're
John Klein is our chairman.
How many of the task force members spend time downtown at night?
And I don't know.
Besides Andrea?
Yeah.
Andrea's,
So, you know,
yeah.
my thing is,
But that's
unless
a good point.
we have a current
What-
assessment of where we are now, we could say all the things that are, because, you know, I've owned a business downtown for 20 years, and some of the things we're talking about right here, I'm looking at those things, I looked at a list like that 20 years ago. So, if we don't know where we're at, how can we go further than that?
But you seem to know where you're at based on this.
Yes and
The
no.
question is, what do you do about it?
Right. What do you do about it, and how does the city play a role in continuing to facilitate moving things forward?
That's our next question. So let's,
Okay.
yep.
I hear a lot of concern about nighttime activity. It's certainly a big part of a vibrant downtown, but I feel there needs to be a balance. We need some daytime activity. That balance between day and evening. The nighttime restaurants, theater, music, all those things are good. They've been being done for 20 years or 30 years. But then attempt to draw some daytime activity. Is it through offices? Is it through doctors relocating? I don't know, but we're out of balance.
I would say that Joe has a point there, because the daytime activity, you know, most places downtown, a lot of businesses don't even open for lunch. The reason is because there's no lunch.
There's no daytime.
Yeah, there's no daytime business. Years ago, when GDC used to be in the lot over by Kennedy Park there, they were an office building there. I worked at Benedict's on Main Street, we were packed in there. You know, there just isn't enough daytime traffic, so offices is a big concern. If you have offices that people need to fulfill those services, then they need places to go downtown. And if you have housing downtown, it helps to facilitate the nighttime.
The other thing is possibly an outlet type franchise to complement what the mall offers, because the demographics that we draw from for the mall, we're within 3 miles, 4 miles from the mall, and there's, you know.
We've been through the outlet. A lot of the stores that are outlet stores also have a store in the mall. An outlet would be their seconds, if you would. And their comments have been that it would be a direct competition with their mother store, and it's too close. So that's what's happening with the taxes. Have they changed now? No, they're too close.
One of the items I've noticed in the newspapers is they live down in Norwalk. And the Norwalk area, such as 1%, it's very vibrant as far as the community, as far as the residential, some of the new residential projects that have been developed down there are very upscale, you know, upwardly mobile, kids and young adults. In fact, even I'm seeing retirement that people move into these places down there. They've getting a pretty good group housing that they roll out to build down there. And I think that is very much encouraged. I mean, that to me encourages the business to stay there. So I don't know, I think they probably have problems with the big one also, but you know, I do see that the housing stock is a very nice, high quality, upscale. You know, it's a different product than what I see us having here. And I think that until, you know, in my mind, the housing is
think we have a,
Yeah, ready.
I think we have a large senior population in some of the existing facilities. So you have medical as well as leisurely stuff like the bookstore, the library. So something that will complement what the library does to attract, I think 250,000 people go through the library every year. That's a lot of people. So you have that as well as the YMCA and the potential for the police department site to be developed into something that would be an attraction.
Okay, so.
So I guess it would be something bookstore, you know, we're gonna have a bookstore on there, or complementary to the library.
Library's closed. Fridays. Library,
Okay. You were gonna say something?
yeah, this is maybe more of an overall confidence in people coming downtown is certainly important. The confidence in a developer coming downtown. Dan's got a huge site over there, all approved, ready to go. And be hard pressed to get that thing out of the ground today in today's economic times we have. Smaller developments. I love that they're half of my property down and build new property, but I don't have the confidence in drawing in a different clientele. I don't think it's just me. So the developer needs to get confidence. I need to have more confidence before I take a bunch of millions and stick it in the ground and hope for them to come. So I don't know where that confidence is going to come from, or that audience is. Mark's talked about Elwood. There's moderate housing. We don't need any more affordable or low income, that's for sure. We've got more than that. So that confidence in moving and developing, getting themselves from downtown to start building is going to be a lot of these answers are going to help that.
I think we have to do smaller things now while we're burning through this macroeconomic situation. We just have to earn some time. So we can plant little seeds that make it for a better pitch, if you will, or getting that confidence to mobilize. I mean, that's just about what our option set.
Okay, so if you would pick three things, you were speaking before on how nothing gets done, how 20 years ago you had the same list. If you were going to pick three things that as a group, this group right here could get behind to do, so that a year from now, if you're sitting here, you could say, at least we did three things. What would they be?
We're not going to be hard.
Sure. Get the daily reflection.
Exception daily.
And in doing so, what you're trying to do there is not is to provide resources for the day laborers to utilize. They're here, they're in the community, they're spending money, they're looking for work, they're part of the economics of every large metropolitan community. But you have to make sure that you do it so that it doesn't become a burden to the community. You have to do it so that it's an opportunity for both sides. So it's really providing them tools to be more successful in whatever way that is. And that's going to be some type of government service providing partnership.
They do what they want, just another place.
Yeah, and you know, the day laborers are fighting a losing battle, right? Because the majority of them are illegal. They're paid in cash. So what trust level would they put in any type of government program which would put them in punishment?
But if you go to Bethel, Ridgefield, to Milford, any one of our surrounding towns, nobody has a day labor problem, but we do. So why do we do in these other towns? Are there police forces hustling off the street? Are they harass them to the point where they're not going to stay? Whatever that is, these other towns don't have. We've got more of the population. they don't. Granted, that's a transportation hub. We have public transportation there, we have private transportation with buses. The first opinion a lot of people that get to come to Canterbury is looking at a bunch of these guys hanging out there. You know, there's an ugly sign. That's the first thing they remember when they go.
Okay, so one is cleaning up Henry Park, okay? What's the second?
Incubator program, I'm going back to it.
Okay?
The third would be to create more activity downtown. Let's take the Connecticut Film Festival as an example. What's the cost of that? Total, 100,000?
I don't know.
$100,000, $150,000. Small investment for the amount of traffic to go. When you create activity downtown, all the issues about where's people's perception of parking, safety, go out the window, and they perceive downtown as being a hub of activity. So whether there's hockey games going on at the rink, there's Greater Taste of Danbury, there's film festival, Joe starts putting some small shows into his theater, things that create activity generate foot traffic. Foot traffic generates interest. And when the interest lapses, is all the slots in between those activities when people come downtown and they see day laborers. Just come downtown and they look around and there's nothing going on.
Okay, so are you saying have more activities or publicize the activities you currently have more?
Start with what we got, but then build on that into more major activities.
Okay, but for this year, what you're all going to support is publicizing the activities.
No, I would say generating more major activities.
Okay.
Which basically, I think to do that, you almost have to capitalize on your Joe's Theater in some way. If you really want to draw people downtown, they still have to have a purpose to go to. You know, you talk to people again. I mean, I've been to off-Broadway shows in New England. I've been to Waterbury, I've been to Hartford. What are the reasons you drive to those areas? Then it gives you a reason to go. It can be a family night, it can be something out to go do. And I think that helps create that activity in downtown environment.
Okay, so more major activities in the theater.
Well, I would have to concur, because what Tom is saying and what we're saying here with what Tony's saying, you're creating an attraction. The theater, the film festival created that attraction. Maybe there's another screenwriter's guild. Take from the film festival something that was very popular, and maybe it's more regular showings of movies back into the theater that are part of the film festival, the Sundance Film Festival that Tom Peroni brought into Danbury. Bring the director in, talk about her, the screenwriter. That brought people down and increased the conversation. So instead of doing it once a year during the last week of May, first week of June, do it at a different time in the year and attract those people, creating foot traffic. And then if it's not just the theater, it could be something else with WestCon, between WestCon and the city. We've created a new corridor between the two. So I would say that it would be a new, an additional theatrical or arts event.
Arts, sports, I mean, it's not just the arts.
Okay. What I want to get you to do is to focus. It's one thing to say we should do this, and this. I'm saying a year from now, we're sitting in this very room saying, what did we accomplish? We want three things to say we've accomplished. One is to try to narrow this so we can...
I actually feel, because you have to back up anything you're trying to do with some economic model, right? And so, just as an example of something we're trying to do with this little building across from Broadview, where you create that linkage with WestCon, that's actionable now. And it goes to Joe's point about what are the demographics around there? Well, wait a minute, the demographics, we have 300 people in our building, but there's 6,000 people in the university system. How many of them ride the shuttle? I don't know, but it's the only off-campus stop. And so you're getting a linkage into something that's kind of recession-resistant, if you will. So those are dollars, right, that tap into if you fit up something that way and start to grow it. And so I look at it as part of the incubator. If we're saying, okay, well, this is very self-serving, of course. You know, we'll be an incubator. We'll try to get that building leased up in a way to serve that clientele, which then gets more people walking around downtown. But it's part of, to a broader point, it's the linkage with West Downtown. Just pulling and connecting the
That's
downtown.
an audience space. That's an audience space or audience.
Yeah,
right.
That's
I mean,
that's a good base to.
So what
And so
would you
that's
have in
one is-
mind? I'm the president of the university. You're going to come to me and say, we should have a linkage. And I'm going to say, to do what, for what? What do you want as a linkage?
Well, I mean, to give it, there are things that are happening. I mean, they've done the streetscape walking back and forth. The shuttle just stopping there is part of that equation. What more things?
I'm the president.
Again,
I'm
I don't
saying,
want to look
you want to come to me with an idea that I'm going to say yes to. What's the idea that I'm going to say yes to?
I think that just making the perhaps events coordination, all that kind of thing, where you're saying, hey, listen, the city center has the following things going on. We'd like to draw students into that. How do we get the message out? One frustration we have, okay, and this is just, we're out here talking. We have, if I'm talking to Jim Schmatter, I'm saying, hey, it's hard to get the word out on campus effectively, okay, because of the nature of the student body. There are a lot of commuters and some just come and go.
3,000 people live there.
Yeah, no.
3,000 students. So let's talk about the 3,000 that live there that have nothing to do.
Well, what I'm saying is that there are, but to your point, a better way of communicating directly to the students so that we get the messages out about the activities that are planned, or even the great rent specials at Brookview Commons, or whatever else, right? Or the amenity across the street, you name it. But that's something we've been frustrated with, is trying to get the word out effectively enough about what we can do and what's so nice about living downtown for the student.
Can we just ask the students? Can we just say, is there a survey, like what is it that you feel is missing down?
Well, there's a real bureaucracy. You have to issue a corporate resolution to set up a table at the student center at WestCon. I mean, there's a lot of gunk to the process.
But there's representatives of the student body, the student body representatives that usually speak for the student body.
Sure.
And so as we go back to my incubation thing,
No.
but as you tie it in, you say in creating the program, you say what are the major attractions that would also be a nice synergy between the general population and the downtown workers and the student body. What would they look for? What, if they want to just escape and get away from some people down in their campus, what do they want? What's the actual business that they want? Is it an art gallery? Is it a coffee shop? Is it something else that they've seen in another city that makes it cozy and quaint and gives them a little escape? Is it a place that has resources? You talked about the bookshop. Something that gives them a place. So then you have that population coming into the downtown, you see more traffic, and then you have the local folks also supplement.
Okay, I'll bite. Forgive me, but my role is to make something happen from this meeting. I've got the president of the Student Government Association in my class right now. I'm going to see him at 5:30. So I will tell him to see somebody about something.
I'll give you my cell phone. Seriously.
Seriously,
That's what it takes.
The question is getting some, because there's where we are with the WestCon link right now is both the suggestion box is open. There's an 8,000 square foot building that's right there. What would you like to see there? If it is a coffee shop that both is friendly to people working downtown and to students who are coming and going, great. And then let's target somebody. We have gone as far as to say the parameters I put out internally are we'll even franchise, okay? We just need to identify something. We'll do this by brute force, if need be, but
Okay,
you give them.
this is exactly what you're saying. Before we leave, give me a card, I'll do it in a second. Okay. So maybe we can make something happen there.
One of the things that, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. We have several hundred units, and so does Mr. DeSilva. College students are not wanted in our residential dwellings. I had a young 30-year-old professional who works with Danbury Hospital say, do you have any students living in your building? Because I'm not going to tolerate that type of audience. And I just moved out a student, one student I have who didn't make it, who's a senior, because of the foot traffic till 2 o'clock in the morning. And the balancing act is that the students need to understand, which is the same problem we're having on the dining and entertainment district and city center that we have on issue every single month, is management of that population after 11 to 2 and the resources that it drains on our police and public service department. It's wrong, and it needs, that perception needs to change. So the students need to understand that if we're going to be good community members, there's tolerance and rules that they have to follow. And if Dan was to offer out his building, we can't create another public nuisance till 2 o'clock in the morning, because then the 300 residents that he's got in Brookside is going to cause a problem. So that message has to be delivered articulately that they have to be good community members, whether it's out in a community setting or whether it's in a residential setting, because they forget those limits. And that's really important because it would erode anything. I remember, Joe, what year was it that your father built all those apartments above Benedict's?
It was early 80s. We had
2 floors of apartments for college students, blown out between the walls within the first 3 weeks.
Well, I agree. There are a lot of controls that need to be in place to run this.
And
I'm an expert on it now.